Good morning and welcome, wicked smart listeners. I'm going to bring you another solo cast today, all by my lonesome. If you're not watching this on YouTube, I suggest you do that. We get to hang out because I'm just chilling out today, and I've got some really cool sort of market updates, updates inside of our company, stuff that's going on that's really cool. And I want to start with that, actually, as we kick off a solo cast here. We have started what we call the In the Trenches Bootcamp, and it's in our office in Newport, Rhode Island. I'll tell you guys that there's never, ever been something so effective in our company since we launched the company in 2014. Now, I've been at this 33 years, but we launched the company in 2014. We've held our yearly event since 2016. That's the QLS Live event. I hope you attend that one, but I'm going to tell you how the bootcamp is dramatically different. By the way, to attend that one, that's a given. It's like the staple event every year, the foundational event, if you will. Started with 14 people in a basement of a Better Business Bureau in 2016, and now is in a really cool facility this year in Boston, Mass. On September 23rd and 24th. Now, I want to give you a 50% off ticket if you didn't hear that on other episodes, so go to smartrealestatecoach.com/QLS Live, and then use the coupon code podcast50. That'll give you a 50% off. Now, what am I talking about with respect to the boot camps? In the month of March, not too long ago, we said, let's beta test an idea that brings in a select group of people to our office. Our office conference room table holds around 10. There's a couch in there and some other chairs can be squeezed in. We can squeeze in at most 20 to 22 people. That's getting a little snuggly, to be honest with you. In that boot camp, in that beta test, we did live calls. We broke up into the different offices. Literally, you go in my office and you make calls with me. Some of you stay in the conference room with Zach. You hear live calls with one of our coaches. Rick usually is there because he's local. And you hear live buyer calls with Nick. That all takes place live and in action, and you can bring your own leads, and we'll actually call them for you, book the appointment for you, structure the deal with the seller for you, and leave you with your pathway to 3 paydays. It's pretty cool. It's by far the most effective thing we've done. We did it again in April, and it was breakthrough. We did even more deals. One student structured 4 or 5 deals that he's going to go back to Florida and go ahead and execute agreements and appointments with. Okay, it's amazing. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and apply. I'll make sure that the application is in the show notes because we open it first to our Jumpstart community, then a few invite-only associates, and then you as the general Wicked Smart listener, if you're not anywhere in the community, you can apply for it as well. Everybody has to apply for obvious reasons. So I would encourage you to do that. You can email support@smartrealestatecoach.com for dates because I don't know when you'll be hearing this. I can tell you the very next one, I think, after this comes out would be June, 12, 13, and 14. We go Wednesday all day, Thursday all day, and half of Friday, just so you see how that rolls out. And I believe there's another one in August. So I'd love to see you there. I'm telling you, it's a game changer for you. Now, let me pivot a little bit because this is a solo cast, and I love to rant a bit with respect to this. With the media screaming, as usual, I wanted to give you sort of the reality of the market and some stats. I think they're important. Aside from my own opinions, the stats that I've sprinkled in here, I gleaned from either Googling some things. I gleaned a bunch from Tony Robbins' third book on money. He has like the trio, and the last one is the third one. Maybe he'll do another one, is the Holy Grail of investing. And I'd suggest you read all 3, by the way. Side note, I digress a little bit there. The naysayers in the media, as far as I know, haven't been certified by the Creative Financing Real Estate Association to do creative real estate, or they'd be screaming for you to do it. And the last I checked, most of the naysayers haven't been certified by the Creative Financing Real Estate Association. Now, by the way, how do you get certified by the Creative Financing Real Estate Association? You go through our Quantum Leap System Home Study course. It's our academy, and you take a quiz at the end of each section. If you're not an associate, you get certified. If you're an associate, you actually get accreditation because you're then working with a coach hand in hand. And you'll see that when you come to the boot camp, how cool that is and how that can change your deal, right? Now, as I've always said since I was building homes in the 90s, I like a lot the single-family residential category, if you will, generally speaking, because regardless of interest rates, regardless of what's happening in the economy, all the noise from the media, people are not going to, in my opinion, stop looking for a place to live. You know, they get married or they team up with a partner and they buy a house. Residential is, as a result, and other reasons, one of the largest categories or asset classes, if you will, with over 200, and last I checked, and you can Google this, but the residential real estate class or category is like over 250 trillion. I think it was 258 the last I checked. Just for your context, agricultural is somewhere around 35 trillion, and commercial was like 30, 32 trillion. Just to give you perspective, how big the residential is. I recently sold our commercial building in Rhode Island because it was office space, and I didn't want to be in that class any longer. Again, as an aside, before I jump into why now is an awesome time for residential and creative simultaneously, the best in my 33 years, we've seen the highest interest rate hike, right, in our history. And a lot of people with commercial space in apartment buildings, for that matter, even though that's a really cool class, I think, had variable rates and or low rates that are now coming up for renewal, and so many are defaulting. This was predictable a while ago, by the way, guys. And people are walking away from buildings and all kinds of horror stories. And by the way, again, on the side, that's why I prefer not using banks, right? I just don't use banks for a myriad of reasons, but mostly because of the 2008 crash. Let me give you an example, by the way. I said renewals. A commercial loan, very common would be for, say, you had a 10-year term or even a 20-year term, but there's 5-year renews, right? Renewals, where they get to look at it, they get to look at rates, etc. Well, last I checked, some of these stats will be a little outdated. They could be up or down, but last I checked, 1.5 trillion or so loans were maturing in 2025 and 2.5 trillion in 2028. Think about that, guys. That's a ton of loans. So is there opportunity there for you? Sure, if you can change the use, and you'll see some of that happening in big cities right now where literally millions of square feet are going empty. My wife and I were talking on our last trip to Vermont, and she was asking me about the malls, because in some communities, malls are just being totally converted, and some are being converted to apartments, which is a bit strange. I can't wait to see what those look like, but I love apartments as affordability and supply is causing so much constraint on buyers, right? That's just reality. So financially, morally, and ethically, I'd love to do more in the apartment space for sure. And in my opinion, as a nation, we're going to see more and more people turn to renting, again, for a myriad of reasons. So let's talk residential now. Now, specifically, you've got 2022. So I'm sitting in 24, we're filming this now, but in 2022, you saw prices peaking, right? Everybody's aware of that. And you saw the media, as usual, screaming about, oh, it's similar to 2008. And I'll tell you, they couldn't be more wrong. Let me just say it bluntly, because I jotted down a few headlines here. Let me just glance at them. In 2015, big headline, housing today, a bubble larger than 2006. In August of 16, you had a headline, we're in a new housing bubble. In September, I'm looking down at all these headlines, crazy. In September of 18, it's better to rent than buy in today's housing market. These are just headlines from the media. 2019 summer, housing market's about to shift in a bad way for home buyers. 2019 December, next year will be hard on the housing market, especially in big cities. I'm going to do one more, but I could keep going. I got a book full in front of me. July of 21, housing boom is over as new home sales fall. Now, guys, let me just be real blunt here. Between the first headline that I just read from my journal here and the last one, average prices went from around $300,000 to $525,000 or so, $525,000, roughly speaking. I'm rounding because I'm just going from notes. And buyers locked in during that time, as you know, historically low rates, right? Many saw enormous appreciation, all while the media is saying it's going to go the other way. And today, the media is still screaming about the market. They're screaming about prices. They're screaming about maybe a crash, et cetera, et cetera. Because why? Because it drives their ratings. Fact, they get 60% higher ratings when they talk negative. That's a fact, guys, give or take, right? But the facts and the data between, say, 2008, when I went through that crash, and now are dramatically different. And quite exciting, frankly, for the creative financing niche. And this is why we have wholesaling communities, fix and flip communities, other educators calling us to say, can you educate our community about creative real estate? Well, we've been screaming about it for 11 years now, and now everybody's just catching on. And if them being wrong all the time is not enough, they're not certified, remember, as I said earlier, by the Creative Financing Real Estate Association. And if they were, I told you they'd be screaming for you to do it. Your friends and the naysayers aren't either, as I said to you. This niche is so cool because it allows you to pivot as the market pivots, and it'll always and forever be pivoting. If we know that, why not get really good at pivoting, right? It's simple. By the way, I think we've had, if my stats are correct, that I go with 9 or so recessions since the 60s, and prices dropped in one of those, the Great Recession. Pretty cool to be in real estate? I think so. Let's compare now. Let's talk a little bit about 2008 in the lead up to now, primarily with respect to supply and demand, because that matters. When people start comparing, they just have no clue what they're talking about. In 2004 and 5, for example, builders went crazy, right? And buyers eventually dwindled because they had so much inventory out there. Banks gave money away. I know. I lived it. I thought it was an ATM machine. I had a gentleman in our office for the last boot camp in April. He'd been at this 45 years. He said to me two things. He said, Chris, I remember those days. I thought it wasn't going to end too, and I treated it like an ATM. And then he said to me something really special, if I can just shed some light on the boot camp thing again. He said, Chris, I have been humbled here dramatically. He said, I almost feel embarrassed. You guys have shed so much new light and opened up so many doors to me, and I've been at this 40-plus years. So side note, guys, you got to get to the next in-office, in the trenches boot camp with us. Okay, back to the stats. In 2007 saw something like, I think it was like 4 to 4 point something million homes for sale, okay? Today, to give you an example, when I pulled the stat earlier, it said 1 million, and then I pulled the stats a little bit later, like last week, and said like 1.5 million. It doesn't matter. Fact is, if it's 1 to 2 million, it's less than half of what was available in 2007. And 40% of those or so are under agreement. So we're at an all-time low inventory, like could be the lowest in tracking since the 80s, statistically, for inventory. So is it different than '08? Yeah, it's dramatically different if you just look at supply and demand. The other thing that is dramatically different is that 2008 saw many homeowners over-leveraged because of the type of lending, right? I lived through it. Today, we sit at around 58% average equity for Americans. Is that dramatically different? Yeah. So next time you hear the media, and you shouldn't be listening to the media, and you shouldn't have social media on your phone, you shouldn't have any of that crap. But if you do, understand that they're dead wrong on supply and demand, and they're dead wrong on the type of market and the seller's positioning out there. Now, you know what it really comes down to? Quite honestly, I can spew these stats out till I'm blue in the face. It comes down to, do you personally believe that you can do this yet? And I say yet because a lot of you listening in the Wicked Smart community, and I super appreciate it. Well, I don't know what episode we're on, but we're upwards almost to 500. A lot of you have been listening for a long time. Some of you may be new. I say yet because you're listening for a reason. Why not make this the pivotal point in your career? Why not make this the time where you look back forever and say, I'm so glad I did this, or I'm so glad I did that, versus I should have. We all know people that took advantage of markets, right? We all do. Or took advantage of opportunities, or took advantage of booms. This is a time in 33 years I've yet to see, and I invite you to be part of it with us. Because all this other minutia is not in your way. It's just you in your way. I know that because that was me in 2012, coming out of the 4 years of the crash. It's sometimes tough to work through those and break them down. I get that, the challenges. But we've improved so much to help you with that as a Wicked Smart community. We can do it with precision. We can do it with clarity. And if I'm sure about one thing, aside from all these statistics, is that when you are super clear, when we all are super clear, exponential growth can and will happen. We have, for example, what's called the Genius Model. It has 3 main legs, if you will. It has a mindset piece, or leg, if you will. It has systems, and it has skill sets. As I've said on many episodes, especially the solo cast, I can teach you systems. It's simple. Just follow what we do. Can teach you skill sets. Simple. Just follow what we do. What I can't teach you overnight, like boom, is the mindset piece. And by hanging out with the right people in the Wicked Smart community, you'll get that. And by the way, I do not believe that it's hanging around with like-minded people. I know a lot of people talk about that. It's not. It's hanging around with people that will prod you, challenge you, push you, hold you accountable. That's the type of people you need to hang around with. And then your belief will raise. And a belief is nothing more than a feeling of certainty about something, right? Or clarity. There's that word again. It's what we think we can or cannot do. It's what we believe or what we consider possible or impossible. See how it's all in our mindset piece? Anything about capable in there? Nope. You're capable. Anything about skill set in there? Nope. You can handle the skill sets. Anything about systems in there? Nope. You can handle the skill sets. See, it's just your belief about who you are. So let's crush those old beliefs together. And we can do that by putting you in motion at the QLS Live event, and that's in September. We can do that by putting you in motion right knee to knee with me, arm in arm with me and Nick and Zach in our office in Newport, Rhode Island in June and September. And if you've seen this later, get the next dates from us because we're going to keep doing these because they are breakthrough for us. Here's a question for you guys, and I'm going to try to wrap this up for you here to respect your time. If you knew now the historic 3 paydays, and you knew they're super profitable, you should know by now, and you see that so many people have escaped their W-2s, and you see that our average went from $45,000 to $250,000, now up to $350,000 per deal, we set a new record. What could possibly be stopping it? Something is, and I'd like to help you with that. I would like to, along with Nick and Zach and our certified coaches with over 75 years experience, we would like to apply for the job of helping you find your clarity and create massive 3 paydays repeatedly on real estate deals. We'd like to apply for that job in 24 and 25 and beyond to make it absolutely amazing for you. If you guys have any doubt whatsoever whether you can make the boot camp or after you apply, or whether you can make the QLS Live event, do this. Take advantage of a free call with me. I want to talk to you personally. I have no agenda. I want it to be your agenda. I want it to be what blocks you. I want it to be what's kind of tripping you up. I want to help you. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/Chris pre-call, and you'll get on my schedule. Now, I will tell you that almost everyone we talk to has the same things that they bring up. And when we're in the private session with you at the third day of the boot camp, we're going to be in the conference room together, rolling up our sleeves. We break into groups, and you're going to say time, and we're going to say, great, I can design a schedule around that. We've helped hundreds of people work within their time schedule, and a handful of people leave their JOBs with very stringent time frames. Rick was an engineer ahead of over 100 people. Rusty was a school teacher and a PE coach and a basketball coach for 20-something years. We can help you with the timepiece. Resources, you can absolutely get resourceful. I can tell you how I did it. I share those private stories behind closed doors at our boot camp and help you get super resourceful. And then the mental piece, we have a 31-day billionaire program that I did with myself and Zach and Nick did with Joe Vitale, Dr. Joe Vitale from The Secret. These are things that we can and will insert to help you get through whatever challenges you perceive there to be for you. Now, I will tell you it's astounding, and I promise you I'll wrap up with this thought. It's astounding to me that people will not blink an eye to go to school extra years to be a doctor, a teacher, an engineer, an attorney. They won't even blink an eye. They won't even blink an eye spending hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. Yet time and money for college is not going to get you the absolute clarity. I'm not poo-pooing college, not at all. What I'm saying is compare that to what you can create in the creative financing real estate niche with us in the Wicked Smart community, and the return is not even remotely on the same playing field. So why not invest in yourself, or for some of you, in or around my age group, why not invest for yourself as well as your kids or grandkids and give them the gift of real estate? Our home study course is less than $1,500, not hundreds of thousands of dollars like college. You can get that course if you don't have it now. I don't know why you wouldn't, but go to smartrealestatecoach.com/QLS. Guys, I gave you a whole bunch of things to think about and to act on. I encourage you to come see us. I promise you it'll be time super well spent. And again, if you're listening to this just as an audio on the podcast, jump over to YouTube, check out the episode there. Please share it with your friends. Leave us a review. We do want to hear from you, and we do want to expose literally the revolution that's taking place in creative financing real estate in general. Look forward to seeing you at the next live event or boot camp.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you're ready to invest in yourself and take your investing to the next level, check out our 90-day Jumpstart program by going to smartrealestatecoach.com/jump. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/jump, because now is the time to act boldly in this unprecedented market shift.